here and win $50,000 cash, but for me, it's much deeper than that. My dad's a very important person in my life, and so to know that I came out here and made him proud is a very surreal feeling. It's something I've always tried to do, and this gave me the opportunity to do it. So, very special moment for me.
Blake, you have proven that fear is not a factor. Good job.
Let's go. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congrats again, man.
Thank you, man.
You did it.
All right, that's it for 48 hours of fear.
Woo!
And now you finally get to go to bed.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, beers on Blake, everybody.
Let's go!
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Scores of law enforcement, family, friends, and community members gathered to remember the life of Joshua Tibbetts, a Maine game warden pilot whose life was tragically cut short last week in a plane crash. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Beth Jones. Those who knew him say he was one of a kind, equally devoted to service and to family. Our Doug Banks was at the Cross Insurance Center as attendees paid respects and shared memories.
The life of Maine game warden pilot Joshua Tibbetts was celebrated on Thursday.
I will hold you in my broken heart always.
Law enforcement from across Maine escorted the 50-year-old into the Cross Insurance Center. Loved ones surrounding his flag-draped casket.
I'll never stop being proud to be his daughter. I wish we had more time, more dinners, more talks, more movies, more ordinary days together. Thank you for everything you gave us. Thank you for the memories, the lessons, the adventures, and the love. I'll carry the memories with me forever.
The father of 2 daughters and a stepdaughter was restocking fish in the area of Schoolhouse Pond in Avon on Tuesday, May 12th. Authorities say at around 11 a.m., his Cessna dispatched an automatic distress call. There was no prior communication before the crash, and he was the only one on board. Franklin County authorities identified Tibbetts. The FAA and the NTSB are currently investigating the incident. Meanwhile, his fellow wardens pledged to keep watch over his family.
You have my phone number. You know where my office is. And I, along with every game warden here, will be there if you need us.
Those who spoke on Thursday told tales of misadventures in ordinary moments of the Corinna-raised man, all of which encapsulated how people described him as one of a kind and devoted to work, life, and above all, his family.
As I try to assign some meaning to this awful tragedy, I try to remind myself of a few important truths, and I want to leave them with you today. Tell the people you love that you love them every single chance you get. Don't sweat the small stuff. Relationships are what truly matter in this world. And finally, listen to people. Just listen.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Following the program inside the Cross Insurance Center for Warden Tibbetts, the ceremony was moved outside for more honors, including the last call. Here's a look at those moments that followed the celebration of life.
All units, 2203, Game Warden Pilot Joshua Tibbetts. I show you 10-7 for the final time. End of watch, Tuesday, May 12, 2026. Thank you for your service. We have the watch from here. Dispatch clear.
The people of Maine also took time to say goodbye to a history-making lawmaker. Gerald Talbot was Maine's first Black legislator. He passed away earlier this month at the age of 94. Allison LaPierre reports on the celebration of life that drew people from all over to Merrill Auditorium in Portland.
Family, friends, and state leaders gathered here today in remembrance of Gerald E. Talbot, a Maine politician whose work in advocating for civil rights and equality touched the lives of many.
God bless you, Papa. Rest in peace.
Gerald E. Talbot was a political activist that grew up in Maine. Devoted to public service and equality, Talbot was a man rooted in history and served as Maine's first Black state legislator.
He knew there had to be another voice, a voice for people who had no voice in the Maine legislature.
Elected officials, clergy, family, and friends shared heartfelt stories about Talbot's life and accomplishments. That includes his time in the Army, his participation in the March on Washington alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and becoming the founding president of the Portland NAACP chapter.
Jerry Talbot opened the door to a joyous daybreak. His daughters have walked through that door. Craig Hickman has walked through that door. Jill Dewson has walked through that door. Rick Lawrence on the Maine Supreme Court has walked through that door. Future generations of all races and faiths walk through that door.
While in office, Talbot sponsored Maine's first bill protecting gay and lesbian people from discrimination and removed offensive names targeting the Black community from locations across the state.
He knew empowerment of people who have been cast out of society, who are not considered to be part of society. Political empowerment of those people is at the very essence of America.
The celebration of life concluded with remarks from Talbot's 4 daughters, including State Senator Rachel Talbot Ross.
Our father's life was also guided by faith, as you've heard, not simply faith in words, but faith in action. He believed in seeing the dignity and worth in every person.
First responders from Waldo County and beyond gathered tonight to say their goodbyes to fallen Morrill firefighter 27-year-old Andrew Cross, who was killed in the line of duty at Robbins Lumber Mill. Hundreds of firefighters, EMS personnel, game wardens, police officers, and members of the public came together to pay their respects to Cross at Riposta Funeral Home in Belfast. Across the state, first responders showed up to honor Cross's ultimate sacrifice, stressing that the community of Maine's emergency personnel stands united in times of tragedy.
We kiss our significant others goodbye in the morning as we're off to work, and with full expectation that we're coming home that night. Whether you're a volunteer or you're a full-timer, it doesn't matter. We all leave to go to do the same job, and we're all hoping to come back.
During his memorial procession on Saturday, we spoke with members of the Morrill Fire Department. They described Cross as a diligent, kind, hardworking man.
Andrew was a firefighter's firefighter, if that makes any sense. He was the first guy grabbing a nozzle, the last guy to sit down and take a break.
He definitely was a hardworking individual and did a lot to serve his community.
A private funeral for Cross's family and loved ones will be held tomorrow in Morrill. On a related note, investigators with the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives continued their work at the scene of the Robbins Lumber Mill fire and explosion. Their work today focused on continuing interviews, scene excavation, and evidence recovery. They also continued their examination of the mill's fire suppression systems as they work to determine the origin and cause of the fire. The Department of Public Safety says investigators have now sifted through hundreds of cubic yards of sawdust and debris by hand and with heavy equipment. Crews are also carefully excavating material within the silo areas to preserve and document potential evidence. A crane slated for use on Friday arrived today. It will be used for planned lifting operations involving the silo structure. Prep work for that was also done today. In other news tonight, a federal court has dismissed a lawsuit brought by the United States Department of Justice that sought to compel Maine's Secretary of State to hand over voter data. Shanna Bellows first declined the DOJ request in August of 2025. The DOJ then filed the suit against Maine in September of 2025. In a statement, Secretary of State Bellows said, quote, "Today's ruling affirms that states, not the federal government, are in charge of our elections. From the moment the Trump administration sought every American's voter data, I said no." She went on to say, quote, "Let me be clear, Trump and the DOJ may continue to try to interfere with free and fair elections run by states. We will not let them," end quote. Police have arrested a Clinton man in connection with a murder in Clinton in June of last year. Major Aaron Turcotte of Maine State Police says 65-year-old James Simonson of Clinton was arrested just before 3:30 this afternoon. He's being charged with murder and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person in connection with a shooting that wounded 68-year-old William Bill Parent of Clinton, Parent later dying from his injuries. An autopsy concluded the cause of death to be gunshot wounds and the manner of death to be homicide. Simonson is being held at the Kennebec County Jail without bail. The family of fisherman Alton Wallace is working to ensure his legacy continues. Last spring, the 51-year-old Millbridge man was reported missing after not returning from clamming. He was found deceased several weeks later. Alton's sisters, Sheila and Juanita, say their brother had a passion for teaching the next generation how to fish and hunt. And in an effort to continue his work, the Wallace family has decided to give a lifetime hunting and fishing license to a young outdoorsman.
Truly had a passion for getting the youth involved in the outdoors, getting them hunting and fishing. And many children he introduced that to for the first time because maybe their family weren't from a line of hunters or fishermen or whatnot. So that was our idea behind this.
Anyone under the age of 15 is invited to apply. The application asks what the license would mean to them and their family, what their favorite thing to do outdoors is, and if you knew Alton, what was one of your favorite memories of him. The Wallace family plans to get together and read all the applications. They will announce a winner on what would have been Alton's 53rd birthday on June 25th. We will have all the information on how to apply on our website, foxbangor.com. Well, approximately 80% of communities across Maine rely on volunteer fire departments, giving the state one of the highest dependency rates on volunteer first responders in the country. But as our Alex Schley tells us, fire chiefs say it's becoming more difficult to find people willing to answer the call.
When I joined in 2009, we had 43 of us on the department, 16 of us could go inside. Today, I have 16 on the department and only 4 of us can go inside.
Just before 6 o'clock Thursday morning, first responders were dispatched to a house fire in Sullivan.
Luckily, I was at home. I'm a minute from the station on the other end of town. I was on scene within 10 minutes.
But officials say that kind of response time is not always possible.
Most of us have full-time jobs. So we have to come from wherever we're at to the station to get equipment to go back to the scene. So you're anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe 30 minutes before you even get to the scene.
The number of community members willing to volunteer is shrinking. And with the limited manpower and longer response times, many volunteer departments now depend heavily on mutual aid agreements with surrounding communities.
We have what we call a Scudic district. So when there's a structure fire or a woods fire, we basically roll 7 towns.
Thursday, firefighters say they were able to quickly get the fire under control.
I was one of the first ones there, and when we got there, we had heavy fire in the basement and on the first floor, and we worked at it, short manpower, but we got it done.
Officials say there are a number of factors contributing to the decline of volunteer firefighters.
You know, donating all your time after working a long day or going out with your family, it's tough to get people to try to fit it all into one.
Despite the challenges, fire officials say there is still a place for anyone willing to serve their community.
There's a job for everybody on the fire department. If you think you can help or you want to help, talk to your local fire department. We need bodies.
In Sullivan, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And folks, let's pause now and take a first look at our forecast.
All right, Beth, thank you. Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes, and we're talking weather out there for us today. A pretty nice day, albeit a bit cool. The average high temperature is near 70. We're hanging out in the upper 50s to low 60s across the area for today, with a northwest wind in there making it feel a bit cooler. So overall, it could be a bit warmer. It's going to get there likely after Saturday with warmer temperatures in here Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Okay, lots of clear skies across much of the area today, but some clouds hanging out right along the coastal and down east areas. These will depart the area tonight, and behind it, high pressure is building in. It's a cool area of high pressure, though, so with the wind dying down, there could be some low temperatures down near 34, 35 tonight, north and west of Bangor, where frost is possible there. Our forecast on for tonight, though, is clearing skies, light winds, and low temperatures down, mostly in the upper 30s to low 40s. Your full forecast is coming up. Beth?
Jeff, thank you. Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10 with Maine's primary election fast approaching. We're taking a closer look at the candidates. Stay tuned.
Garrett Mason is the America First conservative for governor. Mason will fight alongside President Trump to deport criminal illegal aliens and keep Maine families safe. No sanctuary cities in Maine, ever. Garrett Mason is tough on illegal immigration.
Sprague's Nursery and Garden Center is your destination for all things green, and yellow, and pink, and red, and, well, you'll understand when you visit us. Plants aren't just another department here. They're our whole world. From gardening classes to our expansive greenhouses, we cultivate a community of budding and seasoned gardeners alike. Professional landscapers turn to us too. Shouldn't you? Sprague's Nursery and Garden Center, growing with you since 1947.
For 20 years, Graham Plattner has shared his hateful and bigoted beliefs online. Police officers who keep us safe, Plattner says they're all bastards. Black people, Plattner insults them and says they don't tip. And if you dare disagree with Graham Plattner, he calls you retarded and a fag. 20 years of nonstop bigotry and hate from Graham Plattner. Read it yourself at bigotedplattner.com. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Jim with Lowry Law. A husband and wife called me after they were hit by a drunk driver. We got them a $400,000 settlement they were able to use for their retirement. Call me. I'm your go-to guy.
The United Football League is back. A game experience like no other.
Beautiful throw.
Yeah! This is the United Football League on Fox.
Bobby Charles ran a D.C. consulting firm that advised California Democrats while they were defending sanctuary cities that put illegal aliens back on our streets. Bobby Charles, California values, sanctuary cities. Bobby Charles is liberal on illegal immigration.
As Maine's primary election approaches quickly, we want to give our viewers a deeper look into the candidates they'll potentially be voting for. Today, we hear from Republican gubernatorial candidate Jonathan Bush.
Who is Jonathan Bush?
Jonathan Bush is, I am a father of 7, a veteran, an entrepreneur, for the last 30 years, a CEO. I'm running because I think Maine needs an outsider who is a CEO. We need a bit of a turnaround in Augusta after 8 years of triple barrel single party rule. And since I was a platoon leader in the Army, I've been leading groups of people against a mission, whether that's shredding the distractions, and Augusta has accumulated many distractions, recruiting great people to come in and help, which Augusta needs, getting rid of the weak links, and relentlessly motivating the team, just staying on mission, staying attracted to the core goal and not getting distracted. So I believe Maine dearly needs a tax cut. We should not be the 3rd highest tax state in the country. We're the 5th poorest. We should be somewhere in the middle of the pack, at least for starters, and that means being a little humbler about what our state government does in order to accomplish that tax cut. That will then give us a chance to grow the economy, and we will get into a series of rinse, slather, repeat improvements in the tax and spend cycle. New Hampshire, our neighbors, got much lower taxes, and 10% of the state's economy is government, where here it's 19% of the state's economy is government. Part of that is what they spend, but part of that is their economy is growing. Maine's economic growth last year was 0. That is not an okay place for an American economy to be. And once we get that growth cycle going, we can start investing in our education, making it an easier place to start and grow small businesses, become a place that we can relate to and are proud of as we get, stronger and grow.
Coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, a bipartisan push in Congress aims to block the White House anti-weaponization payout fund. And tonight could test whether President Trump's primary win streak can turn into votes on a major Border Patrol and ICE funding bill. Those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
For years, I've been telling you that all roads lead to Down East. I'd say you listened.
Down East Toyota is now the #1 Toyota dealer in Maine. And we didn't get here just by selling cars. We got here by taking care of them.
From our state-of-the-art body shop
to our own rental agency, we're here to serve you at every stage of the journey.
Right now, lease a 2026 Tacoma double cab from our big selection for $499 a month for 36 months with only $1,000 down. One family, one dealership, one outstanding brand. All roads lead to Down East for your next Toyota.
When there's a big job to do, you send the person you know will deliver. Joe Baldacci. Lowering grocery prices, protecting Medicare, defending a woman's right to choose. Those are big jobs. Joe Baldacci's always delivered for Maine. He passed laws making healthcare easier to get and helped restore mental health centers. Joe Baldacci goes to work for us in Maine. And in Congress, he will too. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
Your call is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and 0 buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
Carpets looking tired, stained, or just plain dirty? It's time to call the pros. At CNR Carpet Cleaning, we use deep steam technology to remove dirt, odors, pet hair, and allergens fast. Fresh, clean carpets, healthier home. That's the CNR promise. Visit our Facebook page for a free estimate or call us today, 631-7380. Step into clean with CNR Carpet Cleaning.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
The Department of Justice's new $1.8 billion fund meant to compensate victims of alleged political prosecution is landing with a thud on Capitol Hill, where members of Congress are skeptical of who exactly will get payouts. Fox's Caroline Shively reports.
President Trump's anti-weaponization fund could get blown up before it ever pays out a dime, thanks to a House bill introduced Thursday.
It's the first bipartisan bill to try to take on this slush fund to make sure that it's not used to just take care of the president's friends.
The administration says the $1.8 billion fund will compensate Americans unfairly targeted by politicized investigations, giving pro-lifers they say were targeted by the Biden administration as an example.
I mean, people were destroyed. They went to jail. Their families were ruined.
But some members of Congress allege the money could go to rioters who stormed the Capitol and assaulted police officers.
They see this fund created out of nothing to try and give money to people that participated, for example, in January 6th. I mean, it's just terrible.
The fund came out of a settlement between Trump and the IRS over his leaked tax returns. It was created with no input from Congress.
Nobody knew anything about it. We learned about it in the press, no details. You can't govern like that.
If the fund does stand, former Trump lawyer and felon Michael Cohen says he may apply.
Do you really think Donald Trump's going to want you to have any money?
Probably not.
Okay.
But wouldn't that be something if he actually decided to do it?
Senators were scheduled to vote on a budget bill, but after intense disagreements over this fund, instead headed home for Memorial Day recess. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
President Trump continues to pressure Republicans to back his agenda as key votes loom on Capitol Hill. Senators are expected to battle over immigration funding, ballroom security money, and messaging amendments during a lengthy vote session. Fox's chief congressional correspondent Chad Pergram with the latest.
It's the biggest congressional rebuke of President Trump's second term.
I just don't know how this puppy dog will work. I think there were 6 or 7 people who were going to vote no.
Republicans were on the verge of finally ending the ICE and Border Patrol funding impasse.
The sole reason we are here today is because Democrats refuse to fund law enforcement at the Department of Homeland Security.
But the president's $1.8 billion compensation fund killed the bill.
There are a lot of questions about it. I have Republican colleagues who have concerns about who can receive funding from that fund.
A meeting between Senate Republicans and Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche failed to convince lawmakers to oppose bipartisan amendments curbing the fund.
This is about a profoundly corrupt plan by the president, and I think my Republican colleagues have reached their limit.
Thune said the compensation fund, quote, makes everything way harder than it should be. Deadlocked, GOP congressional leaders sent lawmakers home until June.
So this afternoon, Republicans, so divided, so dysfunctional, so disorganized, are fleeing Washington. Their majority can't melt down fast enough.
Some presidential allies defended the compensation fund.
Feel comfortable that been wronged by their government should have some sort of redress.
And even though the president recently steamrolled opponents politically, Republicans blocked him legislatively.
Congress has our obligation to make sure we know what we're funding and fund the government to a reasonable expectation line.
Congress never approved money for the fund, and GOP senators balked at awarding claims to rioters from January 6th. This means that Congress misses the president's June 1st deadline to fund ICE and Border Patrol. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Meanwhile, the Justice Department is bringing charges against 15 people accused of receiving federal payments for a variety of social services administered by the state government. This comes as a woman convicted in what is being called the single largest COVID-19 fraud scheme in the country was sentenced to more than 40 years in prison. Fox's Mike Tobin explains from the Midwest Bureau.
The fraud here in Minnesota is shocking.
The Trump administration announcing charges against 15 people it says scammed 7 different state-managed Medicaid programs for $90 million. The Healthcare Fraud Midwest Task Force promises more.
My message to the fraudsters is this: eat, drink, and be merry today, because your days of frolicking and freedom are numbered.
Officials cited programs intended to secure housing for homeless people and treat children with autism that collapsed as fraudsters piled on.
We will not allow criminals to treat children as billing opportunities while American taxpayers foot the bill.
The woman convicted as the kingpin in the massive Feeding Our Future scandal, Amy Bach, was sentenced today to 41.5 years in prison. Bach was also ordered to pay restitution on $243 million the government says was scammed through that COVID-era food program. It was intended to help kids during the pandemic, but ended with taxpayers being billed for meals that did not exist. Shackled in court, Bach sobbed and said, "I understand I failed. I failed the public, my family, everyone."
I don't take anything Amy Bach says at face value. Obviously, I'm sure she's emotional and sad. It's hard to watch someone be sentenced. That's true in any case.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar sponsored the legislation exploited for Feeding Our Future. Her net worth has been referred to the House Ethics Committee, and the vice president promises to investigate her immigration status. Omar said she's not worried.
Providing the documents. Looking into anything. They're just saying those things to get interviews with you guys.
The Assistant Attorney General told Fox News that fraud doesn't get this severe without a lack of oversight. And it's obvious, he says, Minnesota state officials were asleep at the wheel. In Chicago, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, a NASA engineer stops by Bangor High School today as part of the Challenger Learning Center of Maine's 40th anniversary initiative. Stay tuned.
The rookies and the veterans take on the top pros for the biggest payday in a saddle. The American Rodeo, Saturday on Fox.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
I'm Jim with Lowry Law. One of our clients was badly injured in a hit and run. I was able to work with the police and the DA's office to get him a $500,000 settlement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, I'm your go-to guy.
This spring, invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value, season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years, with interest-only payments over those 10 years, 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
We're ready for baseball, and off we go. Oh my goodness! Absolute madness!
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
President Trump canceled signing an executive order calling on AI companies to share their most advanced models with the government before they're launched publicly to ensure the technology doesn't do more harm than good. We go back to Fox's Caroline Shively.
It will touch every profession, every classroom, every hospital.
University of Arizona graduates left no doubt about their opinion on artificial intelligence this week at a commencement speech by former Google CEO Eric Schmidt.
There is a fear.
They're worried about the technology eliminating jobs, like the 8,000 lost at Meta on Wednesday as the company pivots to AI. On Thursday, President Trump canceled a signing ceremony for an order that would grant the government the power to review artificial intelligence models before their public release.
We're leading China, we're leading everybody, and I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead.
There's been a growing unease among banks, utilities, and other companies who are worried about new AI models being able to find vulnerabilities in their software. But industry leaders argue the government needs to foster competition, not stifle it.
Abundant intelligence is here. It's not coming, it's here right now. Intelligence is becoming infrastructure.
As for those entry-level job seekers worried about their future,
the young people who are graduating from school today are the best users of AI because they grew up in that era. When you're a great user of AI, you're going to be highly employable.
Tech giant Cisco is also cutting 4,000 jobs, citing AI spending as a priority. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
President Trump signing an executive order to cancel 2 EPA regulations. He says it will make grocery shopping less expensive, but critics say it's just a gimmick that won't have any significant impact. Fox's Jared Halpern reports.
President Trump putting the spotlight on affordability with the signing of a new executive order on Thursday. It repeals 2 Biden-era environmental regulations that required the food service industry to upgrade its refrigeration systems, a mandate the president says forced more than a few small businesses to shutter their doors.
Many grocery stores and restaurants had no choice but to replace their refrigerators entirely. They went out of business, half of them.
The president says Thursday's order will save American taxpayers more than $2 billion a year and should result in lower food prices for those struggling to feed their families.
The American people have lower grocery prices, cheaper transportation of goods, lower cost of air conditioning.
But Democrats say it's too little, too late, pointing to rising prices across the country, primarily due to President Trump's tariffs and the war in Iran.
America
is too expensive. And it's a direct result of failed Trump Republican policies.
Meanwhile, experts are urging both parties to focus more on affordability. Consumer prices surged by almost 4% last month, and with the Strait of Hormuz still closed, there's no relief in sight.
We got an inflation problem. We've been above the target for 5 years in a row now, but we were making progress. Then we stalled out making progress, and now it's getting worse.
The Food Industry Association is applauding the executive order while most environmental groups oppose it. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Tens of millions of Americans are hitting the roads and the airports for what AAA says will be a record-breaking Memorial Day weekend, despite high gas prices. Fox's Grady Trimble has more on the holiday travel surge.
Memorial Day weekend travel is expected to be slightly up from last year. AAA predicting a record-breaking 45 million people will be traveling at least 50 miles for the holiday between Thursday and Monday. That's up from 44.8 million last year. Driving is the most popular way to get around this weekend, with more than 39 million people expected to hit the roads. That's up 100,000 from last year.
Traveling upstate to the Catskills. We're going to leave tonight at 10 o'clock. Even though it's going to bring us up there about 2 in the morning, it should alleviate the traffic ride.
The afternoons will likely be the worst time to drive. The best time? After 9 p.m. Eastern.
We might not leave until tomorrow night. I guess it's sort of a guessing game.
Gas prices are higher than last year, when the national average for a regular gallon of gas on Memorial Day was $3.18. Current pump prices are the highest they've been since the summer of 2022, sitting at a national average of $4.56. Meanwhile, the TSA says it's ready for the surge of travelers heading to the nation's airports.
TSA is going to maintain robust security oversight. The traveling population can expect a more seamless, smooth, secure experience.
AAA is predicting around 3.7 million people will fly to their destination this weekend. They say average ticket prices were lower than last year if you booked early before rising jet fuel prices. In Chicago, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
A major retail chain and a heavy machinery company see sales increase despite the ongoing war with Iran. Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis has a look at those stories and more in today's Fox Means Business.
Markets finished higher for your Thursday. All three major indexes green across the board, with the Dow closing at a new record high. Walmart topping first quarter U.S. sales estimates, with e-commerce sales jumping 26%. The retailer also saw an increase in higher income shoppers who are signing up for its delivery services. Still, the war with Iran is eating into business as higher fuel costs shaved about $175 million from its operating income. Walmart CFO noting that he expects higher retail price inflation in the second quarter if the elevated cost environment drags on. Deere beating its second quarter profit estimates on strong demand for its small agriculture and construction machinery. The tractor maker is leaving its full-year forecast unchanged as headwinds push farmers to delay big equipment purchases. Despite that, John Deere's construction segment emerged as a bright spot, with revenue spiking 29%, along with a tariff refund of $272 million. NVIDIA topping Wall Street estimates for the first quarter and is forecasting a $91 billion second quarter revenue level. CEO Jensen Huang touting the company's new Vera Central processor, which he says opens up a fresh $200 billion market on top of the $1 trillion in AI chips the company is forecasting through 2027. That's business. I'm Jerry Willis.
Just ahead, folks, we have your full 5-day forecast. Keep it right here.
We'll likely keep things dry through Saturday, but a big cool for late May. And when will it rain again, and how much? Details for you when I come back.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will. And they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Jado Highlands Golf Course, nestled in the woods of Lincoln, just a short drive from Bangor or Holton. Designed for players of all abilities, Jado features everything a golfer desires. 18 fully irrigated holes, driving range, practice green, and a golf shop with instruction available. Jado maintains quality course conditions while proudly displaying some of the most scenic views in Maine. Challenge yourself to a round of golf surrounded by the beauty of Maine at Jado Highlands Golf Course.
They say Maine is one small town with really long driveways. When we faced our toughest challenge in years, I was honored you let me into your homes. You trusted me to keep us safe, and together, we stood up to Donald Trump's lies about public health. I'm Nirav Shah, and I'm running for governor to bring that same results-driven approach to deliver for all Mainers. As governor, I'll run toward our biggest challenges: fixing housing, funding healthcare, and fighting Donald Trump.
Nirav Shah, governor.
I went through a pretty bad divorce. My ex handled all the finances and ruined my credit. No money in savings, and an 8-year-old daughter that I was trying to raise. And a coworker said, try your local credit union. It changed my life. The credit union actually cared about my story and not just what was on paper. I just got pre-approved for a home loan to buy our first house. The credit union, they gave me the confidence I needed. They were like family.
Here we go, Da Vinci Signs, innovative signage that designs for impact. Let's talk weather out there for today, and we're talking about really a kind of a cooler day across the region with highs only in the low 60s, but it's going to get a bit warmer going forward. Compared to yesterday at this time, we're about 20 degrees colder, so that was a cold front that came through. It kind of changed our lives today, made things way less humid too, and cooled us off in the highs basically near 60 throughout the afternoon. 62 here in the Bangor area, 59 though for Millinocket. It's comfortable out there today and sunny for most of us. Thus, the late May sunshine it's got some power to it. It felt warm, but it was a cool below average day for us for today. All right, low temperatures last night, 48 here in the Bangor area, 44 Millinocket, but 30s just to the west and likely more 30s across the region for this evening, and that could give us some frost in a couple spots tonight. There are a few frost advisories out there north and west of the Bangor area, so if you planted your garden or you have some hanging baskets out there, they are not going to like the low temperatures in the area tonight. But hang on, the overall trend, temperature trend, 14, 15, 16 days out, keeps us above average in temperature. So with an average high, near 70 or so, we'll likely be above that. Again, not so much this week, but more so late next week into the week after. Warmer temperatures are on the way. The wind today was kind of a thing out of the northwest around 10 miles per hour. We had a few gusts near 20, 25. It'll actually go calm for a couple hours again tonight, followed by the return of some wind tomorrow. So if you're out and about tomorrow, high temperatures back, low 60s or so, but it's going to feel a bit cooler with that wind gusting at 25 miles per hour throughout the afternoon. All right, the waves out there today around 2 to 3 feet, basically no problem at all there. No advisories for winds out there or waves. Beyond that, though, likely building waves for us later on Saturday and Sunday. So it's cooler out there, as you know. Plenty of sunshine back in the forecast for tomorrow and through most of Saturday, and then some rain back in the forecast late Sunday into Monday. That rain will not be heavy. I wouldn't cancel any plans you have for the holiday weekend. All right, lots of clear skies out there for today. For most locations, that band of clouds going to hang out right along down east and coastal areas today. These will depart the region for tonight, though, and behind it, that high pressure is building in. It does begin to get a bit messy, though, way west, but until then, here's our weather for tomorrow and basically for Saturday. Lots of clear skies. Beyond that, though, we'll likely get a piece of this missing here. Later Sunday into Monday, of course, not great timing being the holiday, but again, not an all-day rain on Monday. I wouldn't cancel your plans on Monday afternoon. Okay, but rainfall looks like this, so probably nothing through Saturday. Into Sunday night now, we have probably a quarter-inch of rain coming our way with some more light rain showers back in the forecast later on Wednesday. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is mostly clear skies, lows down near 38, frost north and west for tomorrow. Mostly sunny, highs back in the mid-60s or so tomorrow. Breezy, though, making it feel a bit cooler throughout the afternoon. Then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows, right, Saturday looking pretty good, near 70. Sunday, same thing, 63. Here's Memorial Day with some clouds around, some rain chances in there as well, followed by mid-70s are back in the forecast Tuesday into Wednesday.
Thank you, Jeff. And folks, don't go anywhere. We have sports next.
We need to shake up Augusta. But who will do it? An insider or an outsider? The insider is Bobby Charles, a D.C. lobbyist for 25 years. The outsider? Jonathan Bush, a conservative businessman and disruptor. Bush is the only candidate who's created hundreds of jobs in Maine while reducing waste and fraud. And Bush will slash your property and income taxes.
I'm Jonathan Bush. Let's shake up Augusta.
Chevy trucks are as capable and dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. You probably know one. Your sister. Your buddy. The ones who always show up. They all have that little extra something. And maybe you got it too.
Just announced. Get 2.9% APR on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. Or get $6,000 total cash allowance, plus an additional $1,000 when you trade in an eligible vehicle.
Sprague's Nursery and Garden Center is your destination for all things green, and yellow, and pink, and red, and, well, you'll understand when you visit us. Plants aren't just another department here. They're our whole world. From gardening classes to our expansive greenhouses, we cultivate a community of budding and seasoned gardeners alike. Professional landscapers turn to us too. Shouldn't you? Sprague's Nursery and Garden Center, growing with you since 1947.
The United Football League is back. This is just the beginning.
My goodness!
The United Football League on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. Let's start in New York, where the Maine baseball team played UMBC in the America East tournament on Thursday. The Black Bears started this one hot with the bases loaded. Quinn Murphy crushes this one out to center right and comes inches from a grand slam, but they'll take the 3 runs and the early lead. UMBC would tie it in the second inning, but then in the 5th, the Black Bears steal the lead back when Troy Carpenter hammers one over the wall. That's a 2-run homer. Maine takes a 5-3 lead. To the next inning, here's a blast from UMBC's Dylan Melton, fumbled by the outfield. He makes it all the way to third base, and then Anthony Mascuelli with a clean hit coming up to left field, bounces off the ground, and Melton gets home to make it 5-4. But then in the 9th, UMBC runner on second base. This hit is going to go high up in the air. It's caught by the Black Bears, and Maine moves on with a 5-4 victory. Maine will take on #1 Binghamton University at 1 p.m. on Friday. Staying with Maine baseball, Hunter St. Denis was named the America East Rookie of the Year. The America East Conference announced their regular season awards on Tuesday afternoon, and headlining a list of award-winning Black Bears is freshman Hunter St. Denis, who has had quite the impact for Maine this season. He's registered 57 hits, 37 runs, 10 home runs, and 39 RBIs in his first year as a Black Bear. As the Rookie of the Year, he was subsequently named to the All-Rookie team alongside Troy Carpenter. Other Black Bears awarded include Jason Kruger, Juju Stevens, and Albert D. La Rosa, who were named to the All-Conference team. Let's return home to Maine now for some high school baseball action. The Ellsworth Eagles traveled to Husson University to take on the John Baptist Crusaders. Ellsworth holds a 9-1 record coming in today's matchup. Let's start this one in the first. Dawson Curtis with a bouncing hit. He's thrown out, but not before Evan Haskell makes his way to third base. That sets up this hit. It goes deep into center right, caught for the out, but Haskell makes it back to make it 1-0 Ellsworth. Aiden Woolett would end the Eagles' turn at the plate in the first with this strikeout, but then in the second, it's another nice hit, this time from Caleb Jordan. He takes his base. No score this time, though. Bottom of the inning now, Baps Josh Panburn with a base hit, a missed throw to first, and here comes Sam Churchard to tie the game at 1 apiece. And in the third inning with a 2-0 lead, the Crusaders' Ian Boudreau hits this one, sending Colby Haggerty home with a huge burst in the 7th inning, though, from Ellsworth. This game would flip, and the Eagles steal a 12-4 victory to improve to 10-1. Let's go national now to check in with the Red Sox, who have just swept their series with the Kansas City Royals. After scoring 3-1 and 7-1 victories over KC on Monday and Tuesday, the Sox looked to make it a clean sweep on Wednesday, and they did just that. But it was a much more competitive game this time around. The Sox trailed 1-0 early in the game and later trailed 3-2 until the top of the 7th, and that's when Boston's leadoff hitter Jarren Duran came through big for the Sox, just as he has throughout the whole series, crushing a ball to left field for a 2-run homer that would give Boston a 4-3 lead, a score that would hold for the win and the sweep. Interim manager Chad Tracy says Duran's recent success at bat has sparked new life in the team.
Bats kind of came to life this week, which was really nice to see. So, and then to grab, be trailing, get another big swing from Jarren and come back and win in comeback fashion was very satisfying. When you're sitting atop the offense in front of Willier and Wilson and that group of guys, if he starts going, it's no secret that's going to help us go. So, but he's taking some really, really big at-bats right now.
And finally, some devastating news out of the world of NASCAR as legendary driver Kyle Busch has passed away. It was announced around 4:30 on Thursday that Busch had died from complications from a sudden illness that hospitalized him in the morning hours, shocking the racing world. Busch, who was in the midst of his 24th NASCAR season, was a 2-time Cup Series champion, amounted 234 total wins in NASCAR's 3 Premier Series, and was named one of NASCAR's top 75 drivers of all time by the sport in 2023. Busch was not only a successful racer, but he brought a personality to the sport that had never been seen before. Many drivers, both former and current, took to social media today to mourn the loss of not only a competitor, but a friend. Kyle leaves behind his wife Samantha, son Brexton, and daughter Lennox. Busch was just 41 years old. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Nothing runs like a Deere.
And Greenway Equipment Sales makes it easy to keep your John Deere running smoothly year-round. Our mobile maintenance truck will come to you and service most walk-behind and riding lawn equipment right in your yard. Just call or schedule online. Whatever the season, we'll have you tuned up, sharpened up, and geared up to mow or blow whatever Mother Nature dishes up. Contact the Smith Brothers today for service delivered.
Nothing runs like a Deere. From Greenway Equipment Sales, family owned and operated since 1994.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
I'm Jordan Wood. Everywhere I go, Mainers tell me they've had enough. Tired of higher costs, exhausted by endless wars, and worn out by corporate greed. Washington is failing us. It's time for a new generation to fight Trump and the billionaires. I've already taken on election deniers and won. I'll never take a dime from corporate PACs or lobbyists. I'm Jordan Wood, and I approve this message because I'll fight corruption, defend our democracy, and finally pass Medicare for all.
In Maine, your pavement takes a beating. That's why Sturgis Construction does it right, from the ground up, specializing in asphalt paving, seal coating, and site prep. We build surfaces designed to handle harsh winters, heavy use, and everything in between. Whether it's a residential driveway or commercial lot, we deliver a finish that lasts. Protection, performance, professional results. Sturgis Construction. Asphalt done right.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
The owner of a famous Philadelphia eatery travels to New York to follow through on a basketball bet. Fox's Jody Goldberg has the story from Long Island.
No chopping, see none of this?
Only in New York could a Philly cheesesteak legend end up behind the grill in a Knicks shirt.
I'm staying all day.
Inside Dario's Pizza in West Hempstead, fans are eating this up, literally, because cooking cheesesteaks is Frank Olivieri from Philadelphia's famous Pat's King of Steaks.
Hurry up. These New Yorkers are really hungry. They've been waiting for a win for years.
Frank's family has been serving cheesesteaks since 1930, but today he's wearing blue and orange after losing a bet with Dario Carosi, co-owner of Dario's Pizza.
You say if the 76ers win, you come down here and cook for me in my store, and vice versa. We won, let's go Knicks, that's why he's here.
Frank made the bet when the Knicks were up 2-0, and his family says he's the only person crazy enough to make a bet like this, but also the only one who would absolutely follow through.
Thank you, Philadelphia 76ers, for this auspicious day.
The rivalry started after Dario's viral cheesesteak videos caught Frank's eye. Then came the trash talk.
And he put a sandwich on his menu called the Philly Sucks. And since my family invented the steak sandwich and the cheesesteak in 1930, I thought I'd come up and try to defend the honor.
There's tears of sorrow on this since the Simpsons lost.
Customers came in for the unofficial taste test.
But I'm leaning towards Dario.
There you go. Boys, he's the home team. He's the home team. I'm just a visitor.
Dario's a Knicks fan.
We're always the underdogs, but you know what? This year, it's different. We're actually the top dogs.
They get swept, they gotta bring the brooms out.
They're both great places. They're both great people. And as long as they can have some fun with this, I think it's great for everybody.
And as for Frank, he's rooting for a new team now.
Since the Sixers lost, I want the Knicks to go all the way.
A statement that may not go over well in Philly.
Well, I heard there's a bunch of people waiting at the toll at the Ben Franklin Bridge, not letting me back into Philadelphia.
Knicks fans are hoping Frank might just be the team's lucky charm.
Students at Bangor High School got a visit today from a NASA engineer as part of the Challenger Learning Center of Maine's 40th anniversary initiative. Dr. Kenneth Harris is a senior project engineer with the Aerospace Corporation, but his STEM career began during his teenage years as an intern for NASA. He's also a Challenger board member. His visit is part of the Challenger Center's 40th anniversary, focused on honoring the legacy of the Challenger crew and celebrating 40 years of promoting STEM education for students. Harris shared exciting NASA projects with the students, including work related to the James Webb Space Telescope.
Kind of opens a light to other students that there's a lot of opportunities out there and that anything is really possible.
I know at some point my time within the industry will come to an end. And so how are we intentionally fostering this sense of creativity within the next generation that's going to continue to travel and carry them into the stars, no pun intended.
The event also included a student-moderated Q&A featuring Bangor High School STEM students. The Challenger Learning Center of Maine has lots of programs happening this summer, and to learn more, you can visit astronaut.org. Just some fantastic opportunities happening there. Alrighty, folks, well, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
Come on, big shot. Show me what you got. You think you're tough? Better cowboy up. Have you thought this through? Are you ready to dance with a ton of TNT? It's gonna hurt when you hit the dirt. If you don't make it on me, I'll do my job. Just hold on tight. We will take on golden night.
"911 Nashville" returns this fall on ABC.
Decker Investigations.
I have a job for you.
Tuesday, ABC is serving an entire night of R.J. Decker.
Como se dice possible homicide?
With 3 back-to-back episodes, it's a triple decker of America's hottest PI.
That's straight gold, son.
Jump into one of the best new shows this year.
Repeat after me, okay? Everything is gonna be...
Try not to die tonight.
I will do my best.
A triple R.J. Decker Tuesday on ABC, and stream all episodes on Hulu.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Scores of law enforcement, family